Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at BR-163 MS Brazil. But before that, this video is brought to you by Bobby W. and Gaming with Dark Fang. Thank you for being farm barons. So the BR-163 MS Brazil map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now let me read you a little bit of the description. This map is based on a stretch of BR-163 highway in the region of the city of Dourados in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. This map adds several characteristics to the region. Hold on, what's going on here? Oh my gosh, people. Impatient. Alright, let's get back to it. This map has 75 buyable lands, 47 fields from 0.34 hectares in size to 24.9 hectares in size, 2 grain selling stations, multiple production points, a quarry, sawmill, ammo dealer, vehicle shop, BGA, and several new productions. All structures, such as houses and sheds that are on purchasable lands, can be removed. And in multiplayer, Farmland ID 1 is going to have ownership of all the fences and gates across the map. Now this map does have 2 required mods. They are the gas station BR and package mega silo. So if we factor in the size of the map and the 2 required mods, we're looking at a total download size of 844 megabytes in size. Let's make our way back over here to the map. Now, as we have moved from our original starting point, we start here at the bus stop, kind of here in town. So let's go back to that point, pull up the PDA, we see where we start. We zoom on out, we can see the fields. We have the mine up here with several productions, several fields of interesting shapes, and we started by owning Farmland ID 61. If you do select to not own the farm at the start, well, you can buy this for $315,912. In addition, if you do not own the farm at the start, you will not own the starting machinery, but you will have access to a pickup truck, which is located right over here on the other side of town, that does have a consumable buy point. So we're going to be able to buy consumables at a shop different than where we can buy our vehicles. This map does include all the standard crops that are available to us in Farm Sim 25. Now, with respect to precision farming and the soil map, we are looking at a custom soil map on BR-163. So let's go ahead and see how that is being applied to these fields. As you can see, we have a rather interesting soil map here. Lots of the fields over here on our right aren't actually popping up as showing the soil map. And that is because of the particular crops that they have in them, I suppose. Kind of odd that it's not popping, but at any rate, we see over here on the left or on the western side of the map, we've got bands of silty clay between loam and sandy loam, and we got little spots of loamy sand as well. With respect to our crop counter, we are looking at the standard Farm Sim 25 crop counter available to us on this map. And we do start out with 20 goats at the main starting farm. With respect to contracts, we do have contracts available, including wood transport, dead wood, and stone crushing, the new contracts for Farm Sim 25. With respect to productions, we own 2 productions at the start, a fertilized mixer and a herbicide mixer. They're both going to take water and concentrated fertilizer or concentrated herbicide and make liquid fertilizer and herbicide out of that. With respect to other productions that are available on this map, we have a total of 15 productions. Here we can see a listing of 11. The bakery, biogas plant. We have a brick factory. The brick factory is going to make bricks, cement bricks, concrete slabs, concrete beams, and roof plates. So our bricks, we're going to be cement bags, dirt, pallets, tools, and there we get our bricks. Cement bricks are going to be cement bags, sand, pallets, and tools. Our concrete slab, cement bags, sand, rebar, and tools. concrete beams, cement bags, sand, rebar, and tools, and roof plate, cement bags, sand, pallets, and tools. We also have our carpentry. We have a cement factory, which is going to take dirt, lime, pallets, tools, and mining equipment to make cement bags. We have our fairly standard dairy here. We have a food factory, fairly standard as well. Lime production, and if we buy the lime production plant, we're also going to have a few other things that are going to pop up. But in general, we're going to do stones, tools, and mining equipment in order to get lime. We have our sawmill. The sawmill is going to be set up also to make pallets out of wood. We have our spinnery and our sugar mill. Our sugar mill also is set up to basically do ethanol from sugar cane. And then our sugar is also going to be exclusive to sugar cane. No sugar beet production on this particular map. If we happen to own farmland ID 66, which is going to be located right here, then we will also have 2 greenhouses. And I'll buy those here in a little bit. With respect to sell points, I counted 11 different sell points scattered around the map. We're going to have a rundown through of our starting machinery here in a moment. And with respect to collectibles, this map does have 30 collectibles. And in fact, well, one of them is right in front of us. So there we go. Now, before we leave the town area, I want to come across and show you some interesting things about this particular map and about the town itself. So here we have a bus stop, right? And around the back of this bus stop, there's a little tool shed. Well, if we come into build mode, and we can see that this shed is selectable. So if we come back to our farmland screen, we'll see that that is a buyable plot of land. Farmland ID 47, which we can buy for $26,856. Let's go ahead and do that. And now once we own that, we'll come back into build mode. We'll select our little shed. We can sell it. And now, well, barring this floating fuel can, which is a collectible, by the way, we now have access to this entire area to do whatever we want with. Now, there are other buyable plots here in town, and they're all going to have little tool sheds associated with them, or medium-sized tool sheds associated with them, so we'll be able to clear out a lot of the area. For example, this is one of those, and that's the tool shed that you can sell. We have another one here. I believe that is a tool shed you can sell, and it'll clear out this area. You may have to delete the fences once you clear that area out. We have a tool shed at that residence, and I believe we have a tool shed at this residence that we can also get rid of. We have an empty plot here, and we can sell that tool shed, and the fence goes away, the wall. Although when I did sell this in testing, the wall went away, but the signs and the trash heap, they remained. And I'm not really sure how to get rid of those, or if they're supposed to go away or not. I don't think they're collectibles, but let's just go and find out. Nope. Not collecting trash. And then we have another empty plot right here. Farmland ID 42. Let's just quickly make our way over to the starting farm. And from here, we'll start talking about our starting machinery. So from our garage menu, you can see we have access to the Fiat 180 DT tractor. We have the small Case IH Farmall 120C tractor. And we have our Lizard pickup, which I talked about, which is over in the town. We have universal bucket and pallet forks for our front loader arms, the Q7M. We've got the Demco 850 single auger grain cart. We also have access to the Brantner DD 2407 3/2XXL trailer. We've got the Dalbo Power Chain 800 Power Harrow, as well as the Speedmax 560 mulcher. We have the Optima RS planter and the Great Stand Great Plains 1500 seeder. For our liquid fertilizer and herbicide, we have the Hardy Mega 1200L sprayer. We have the Vaderstad roller. We have the Massey Ferguson 8570 harvester, the 8570 header and header trailer, and we also have the Capello 8-row corn header. For our animals, we have the ABI 1600 liquid trailer, and then we wrap it up with a 1800, not 16, 1800 kilogram front weight. With respect to mods and DLCs, we do have some custom items that are included with this map. That is, we can buy concentrated herbicide, concentrated fertilizer, we can buy pallets of rebar, we can buy silage additive that is custom, we can buy crates of tools, crates of mining equipment, and then we have a modified MKS 32.4 liquid trailer that is also going to work with our ethanol that we produce over at the sugar factory. So if you recall, some of those productions required rebar, required the tools, and required some of the other aspects that are purchasable on the map. Here at our starting farm, well, we have our farmhouse, and I can tell you that everything at the starting farm can either be sold individually or sold by selling this tool shed, which is also set up as the storage for a chainsaw, spray paint, and such. So if you can't sell something here, then try to sell the shed, and it should pretty much sell everything else. Here we have our wardrobe trigger, sleep trigger. Got a nice shed here for our machinery right by the farmhouse. Right by that, we have our sheep pasture. We have 20 sheep out of a total 34 that we can purchase here. We have our milk spawn point for our goats and our wool spawn point for our sheep. We have our food trough. Some more sheds. Here we have our silo, so we have our fill point. And we have our dump point for the silo system. And then we have our two productions in the concentrated fertilized mixer and the concentrated herbicide mixer. So we have our dump point for our liquid and our herbicides. And then we have our fill point over here as well. And that, folks, is pretty much what we've got going on here at the starting farm. Now I've gone ahead and purchased farmland ID 66. That's what I'm going to be calling the greenhouse farm, because we do have a farmhouse here and a pair of greenhouses. I've also purchased our lime mine. And you can see when we do buy the lime mine, we do also then own the land that is associated with the mine. And we also now have access to our cement factory, our dirt pile, we have a sand pile, and then we also have access to a stone piler. So we're going to be able to get sand, dirt, and stone once we buy the lime mine, but I don't believe we're going to be able to extract those until we actually own the land. In addition, if we purchase our sugar mill, then this is where we're going to be able to also, as a result, we're going to own the land that this sugar mill is located on. Just want to get to the sky real quick and making my way over to what we're going to call the greenhouse farm. It's going to be right here. And I call it that because, again, we have a farmhouse, so we have our sleep trigger. We're going to have our wardrobe trigger. We have a bale and pallet building here for 250 bales and pallets. Then we have two greenhouses. So we have a pallet point. We have our dump point for our water. We have our interactive icon. And with respect to our greenhouses, well, they're going to input manure, pallets, seed, solid fertilizer, and water. And as a result, well, we're going to get a whole lot of things. We can grow carrots, chili peppers, garlic, green beans, lettuce, long grain rice, Napa cabbage, parsnips, peas, potatoes, red beet, soybeans, spinach, spring onions, strawberries, sugar beet, sunflowers, or tomatoes. So you see all the dump points there for both of these greenhouses. And that's basically the two farms that we have available to us on this particular map. Right next to the farm, we're going to find one of our productions. And this particular production is going to be the food factory. You see our input for our grain for the food factory. And then our output as far as our pallet spawn point. To the west of our food factory, we're going to have one of our grain sell points with its dump station inside. Continue to make our way across the western part of the map. In the extreme northwest, well, this is where we're going to find our mine. So, as I mentioned, we're going to find our dirt pile, our sand pile, and our stone pile here. And then down in the bowels of the mine, we're going to find the limestone factory. Pallet points, dump points, and the like. Here we have our cement factory. Here at the lip or the edge of the mine. Making our way down the western side of the map, we have our sugar mill, our sugar plant. And it's going to, again, accept sugarcane and several other inputs. Make our way kind of back over here to town. Some neat signage going on here. So we have our Case IH dealer. Case IH is very popular in Brazil. Love it when we have these custom dealers. So we have our sell point. Go ahead and purchase something. We do have access to a large forklift, and here we can see where our vehicles are going to spawn once we buy those. Modest gate in order to get out of the dealership, so bear in mind the size of the machinery that you are buying and the space to get out of the dealership. And then we have in the center bay our dealer service trigger. I really like this kind of sculpture here in the center of town. Kind of nice. We have our animal dealer. So we're going to buy point for manure, buy point for slurry. We have our bale sell point. and our buy point for our animals. Now let's make our way down the, I guess, western side of town. Just south of the vehicle dealer, we're going to have a grain sell point in the grain warehouse. So we have our dump station right here. We're going to have access to our gas station. And then this is also then going to be the ethanol sell point. And then we have a small farmer's kiosk sell point. This is a buyable plot of land for you to clear the trees, clear the foliage, and do what you want with. If you sell this little shed, then these buildings also go away. But again, I had mixed results in the fact that the signpost, the signage, and the trash, well, they remained at both entrances to the road. Don't really know why that occurred. Just down from that, we have our warehouse. And we have that right there. So we have our sell point for the warehouse. We have our spawn point for products that we buy at the warehouse. And we have a warehouse buy trigger. We have our dairy production point. And then moving kind of into town itself. Here we have access to the spinnery, a sell point or a factory if we buy it. We have access to the building materials store. So here we have sell point to sell product, dirt, sand, or other building materials. We have our restaurant, which is located right here. Restaurante. And then across the street from that, we have our supermarket sell point, located right there. And then, remember, we had this area that we've demonstrated we can sell. Then this is going to be our consumables buy point. So if we come up to here, we're going to be able to buy our concentrated herbicide, liquid fertilizer, lime, solid fertilizer, seed, and such. And our starting truck, well, it's already set up with pallets of concentrated liquid fertilizer and concentrated herbicide. And again, if we do not own the farm, we do not have our starting machinery, but we do have this truck. And this truck also does have a pallet of concentrated fertilizer and herbicide on it if we don't own anything. If we go further down the road, south of town, we're going to come across a nice little shed here that is a part of Farmland ID 32. Here we have our biogas plant. So we can buy the biogas plant. And we have access to a 3-sided silage marker when we do that. We make our way across the eastern side of the map. We have 2 custom construction missions. So we can build a wooden bridge here. And in order to build the wooden bridge, well, we need to deliver 5,000 tools, 5,000 wooden beams, and 4,000 planks in order to build out the wooden bridge. So that's kind of neat that we have a custom construction here to get us across the river. But we could also just upstream, build a concrete bridge. So we have 2 custom construction missions, as I mentioned. And in order to build the concrete bridge, we're going to have to deliver 10,000 tools, 15,000 units of metal. I think that's going to be possibly rebar. 40,000 units of concrete beam. 30,000 units of concrete slab. 20,000 units of cement. And 15,000 units of cement bricks. We make our way across the river now. Now we've built out, if you will. Here we've got Walter and some farmland. And the farmland here is kind of set up as a bit of a wilderness. So you kind of do whatever you want out here. We have the garbage dump, which is located right here. That is set up as a sell point. Then we have our sawmill. Well, that's kind of interesting. We're going to have to find our way across the river if we're going to make the wooden beams in order to build out those bridges. So we do have a bit of a makeshift bridge up here to the north, just south of field 63. So we do have a way across the river in order to build out those wooden beams, in order to deliver those to the wooden bridge, which is good to see. And let's just for fun, because I didn't see this pop as a farm land, but let me just check something. Another cool little interesting touch on this map. If we do own farmland ID 37, we have a sleep trigger that pops up here. And it's Grandpa's spare bedroom. So that's kind of neat. If you do own farmland ID 37, well, you can make use of Grandpa Walter's farm here and use it as a sleep trigger while you maybe work your way out here, do some forestry, or maybe kind of carve up your own little world over here in the extreme southeast corner of the map. So guys, like I said, that is going to be BR-163 MS Brazil. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this particular map. I do like when we have custom constructions. I didn't build out either of the bridge to see how long it took to build those out. I would be interested to know if you do build those out, how long did it take? And until next time, happy farming.